Alright guys, TJHaLy here again today, and this is a video that I was thinking about making a while ago. This is effectively a fantasy pick video where I go through Draftbuff's fantasy thing and pick my 5 players for the amount of money that they're going to give me, and then you guys can see what team you would make in the comment section below, and even of course try it out yourself for free. So I was thinking about making this video anyway, but Draftbuff got in contact and they were like, you know, we don't mind sponsoring you for this video. So that's the situation, just for full disclosure. That's why we have the nice little Draftbuff logos in the bottom of the screen. So a slightly different setup today, but hopefully it should be fine. So pretty much the link in the description box below if you guys want to go check it out and play yourself. There's 2 options you'll have here. The normal one, which is you can do for free, or you can pay $2 to enter into a $50 payout if you guys think that you have what it takes, let's put it that way. So yeah, you'll go to the page below. Maybe you guys should watch the video first. I can give you some ideas, what things to consider. Hopefully I'll be able to give some sort of insight, maybe not. And then you can go to this page, click on the link, whatever, and you'll come through. This is how the scoring is done. So you may not be able to see at the bottom, but it says control deaths over games. So this is how the scoring is done. It seems pretty fair. I can't really take too much away from this in terms of choosing players based on how well they'll do because of the scoring, but this is pretty much how it works. S&D kills divided by the rounds played, and then the same thing for hardpoint and control, but with the games with the addition of hardpoint objective score, which doesn't really account for too much in terms of points. So anyway, after you get through all this, you'll come to this page, which is Draftbuff's main page. This is where all the magic happens. And just to say, today I'm uploading this on the 17th of July, which is a Wednesday, 2 days before CWL Miami does begin. You guys have been expressing in the comments how you're pretty damn excited for this event, and with good reason. So yeah, I'd say this is a pretty damn cool thing to do. So anyway, it gives you the option as follows. You have $30 to pick your team of 5. So my average price remaining is $6. So if I choose Skies, for example, let's just put him in, then my average price remaining will go down, and so will my remaining salary. But I probably won't do Skies. We'll get to that in a second here. So yeah, effectively we have ARs, flexes, and subs, and we have to choose 1 AR, 2 flexes, and 2 SMGs. So there's no distinction on what team you can choose. You could potentially put together like the entire, I think you'd struggle to put together the entire 100 Thieves roster because you wouldn't have enough money, but you could definitely put together the entire rosters of some of the teams. You could put together the entire UIU roster probably, if you're a big fan, which is, you know, maybe you are. So yeah, let's hop right into it here. There's a few things I would be considering before I hop right in. I'm going to start with the assault rifles, I think, because it just somewhat makes it easier. And I also think with ARs, there's the potential that you could get an AR that can really pop off because, well, I don't know. We've seen from players like Octane and players like Zero in recent times, and I guess Skies as well for sure, they've put up just these stupid numbers. And there's the potential for an AR that could just have some really, really great games. And, you know, in terms of this, the way the scoring is done, it tends to be beneficial to go for players that have higher KDs than players who maybe have a load of engagements like an SMG, because it's kills per games minus deaths per games. Effectively, if you have a guy with a really good KD, you're probably going to get better scores than you would out of a player that has incredibly high engagements but doesn't necessarily have the best KD. So you tend to want to, so assault rifles effectively have a better chance of doing well, I would say, which means you can probably get a good pick in for relatively low cost that might help you do well, because a lot of ARs could have a great tournament, whereas I think there's not too many SMGs, for example, that could have a great tournament. So I'm probably leaning to do it that way, but we'll have to see here. So anyway, on the right here, we have the projected scores of what's happened. So if you click on the players, so I'll just click on Skies, for example, you won't be able to see the whole of this, but it'll show the performances at Anaheim, Pro League, London, all of these things. You probably can't see the bottom down here, but this says Fort Worth, and it'll say exactly what happened. And if you go onto Fantasy, then you'll be able to see the score they had at Las Vegas, Pro League, Fort Worth, etc. And exactly, you know, some nice statistics you might want to have a look at. So okay, we're back. So we're going to start with the ARs here. Now let's look through the options. There's a lot of really, really good options. Now, you know, the interesting part about this, which you have to consider, is how the bracket is going to look for some of these teams. So I'm somewhat skeptical to choose an LG player but at the same time, it may be a really good payoff if they do make it through the play-in bracket, because in the first round, LG are playing Units. Then if they win that, they'll play either Midnight or Elevate. And then if they win that, they'll play Heretics. So in theory, if they win those 3 matches as expected, they may have some great opportunity to stat pad, which is why picking an LG player is probably a decent idea. But, for example, let's say they lost to Units, they would go out of the tournament only playing a single series. Now you might say, okay, there's no chance they'll lose to Units, but you just never know. First series of the tournament, LG will definitely be underestimating Units. Maybe underestimating Units isn't that big of a deal to them because, they might still be way too good for them, which is possible. But at the same time, it's a risky business going for an LG player or any player, like a Gunless, that isn't into the main tournament because you know that they can lose one series in that play-in and completely be out. So I may well choose an LG player early on, but I'm not going to do it here. Octane's definitely a tempter. In terms of the projected values, I'd look at this to some degree, but not too much in depth. Zero is also a tempter, but the problem is here that Zero and FaZe Clan are playing against 100 Thieves in the very, very first round, which is honestly, just very, very scary to me. And yes, okay, if they do lose that, they'll go down to losers, but I'm just thinking, if they're playing 100 Thieves and it goes like that, what happened before, I'm predicting 100 Thieves to win that series, let's put it that way. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical here. I looked through this a little bit earlier, and the player that stood out to me actually is Arcetes. He's only a $5 pick, so Arcetes to me seems like a decent shout. He was doing very well at the start of the year. Crimsix already is also up here as a pretty tempting choice. Difficult to say who I'm going to go to between the two of these. I think that Crimsix's role on the team is he's less of a slayer in terms of the rankings in the team than Arcetes is. So I think I might go Arcetes here. They're both $5 picks. Either way around could be fine. They're both great players, but Arcetes at the start of the year, so did Crimsix, showed some great form, and I feel like at this point maybe it's time for him to turn it back around. So, okay, we're going to go for Arcetes, and we're going to put him in as my assault rifle. Could have gone for a more expensive pick. There's definitely some other ones you could consider here, like the $4 ones. We're just going to go for him for now. So let's go on to our flexes, and of course here we have a lot of great choices. We have the Dashy himself, 73 projected. This is obviously big money, and yeah, it's tempting for sure to go for an $8 player, but if I do go for an $8 player, then maybe it's a little bit difficult to get some great players in on my SMGs. So I'm tempted to go a little bit further down. I definitely want to get some 100 Thieves players on my team because yes, if they do very well, if they beat FaZe, then they'll play OpTic or LG or whoever exactly it's going to be. And they could be romping their way through the bracket. And if they play anything like they did at Anaheim, and they maybe won't be as good as they were at Anaheim, it would be almost impossible to put up at that level of performance again, I would say. But if they're somewhere near that level, I'd be very impressed. Now, of course, a lot of these matches are going to be really big pressure, big money matches that are against the top teams. And if there's one player that I can count to play very well against the top teams, it's Slasher. Almost every time throughout his career, I'm going to lock him in because they're going to be playing some hardcore teams here. Like they're going to be playing, the likes of OpTic, the likes of FaZe. If they go later in the bracket, it's going to be the best teams they're going to be playing against. And Slasher, I think for me, has always been one to turn up and play even better when he's playing the best competition. So he's definitely up the top of my radar right now. And I want to choose another good Maddox player because these are guys that can really get your stats up there because, Maddoxes it's just such a good gun and you can really just splash out on these and you'll be very, very good. Okay, this is a tempting pick. Here we go. We've got Formal at a $5 pick. Now, Formal, when these guys were getting themselves sorted on Luminosity and they've got this new team, yes, they've got Bracken Skies, but Formal was playing very, very well and putting up great numbers. He's got a Maddox in hand. It seems too good to turn down a great Luminosity gaming player because, yes, if they beat Eunice, if they beat Midnight or whoever, if they beat, they won't have to beat anyone else, but they'll be playing Heretics after that. So if they go through those series, they should be easier series than what they'll have later on in the tournament. So there may be a chance, as I said, for Formal and those guys to stat pad a little bit, and not stat pad of course, but they'll have better chances to do well than they will against other players. So I'm going to lock in Formal as well as my third. There's obviously some other good picks here that I probably scrolled past. We could go for likes of Kenny, but I'm keeping the figures a little bit low here because, as I said, I feel like the assault rifle in Arcetes, I think you can put a pretty low dollar amount in and get a great result. A guy like Phantoms, he's only $4, but on UYU, let's say they had a decent run in the play-in bracket, he could put up great figures. I think it's easier to do that with an AR and have a great game than it is to do it with a sub. So therefore, I'm kind of focusing my money on the lower end, on the SMG tier end. So moving onwards here, obviously some great picks. I could have gone with Dashy, but I try not to pick too expensive of players, even though, okay, well, there's some tempters here. Dylan's at a $9. If I went for a $9, I would barely have any money left. Let's see, okay, I'm not going to lock him in probably, but I'd have Dylan as, okay, I could do Envoy as well, and then I'd have to do a $4 player like an Enabler, Joe, a Saints, a Zuma, a Slacked. Okay, this is somewhat tempting to go for. I only have $4 left, but it's difficult to say whether this is worth it because there's not many of these teams that are guaranteed to be in it. Okay, so Zuma's going to be guaranteed in there because of course he's on FaZe Clan, and Enable is guaranteed as well. So is it worth going Zuma and Enable or one of the two? Maybe worth it. Zuma's been pretty damn good. Enable's been actually frying with the SMG in hand lately on the 100 Thieves team. So both of these are tempting picks. I'm going to take Dylan away for just a second here, just to consider my options because this is the business end of the choosing here. Now, okay, we've got Simp at $7, which actually seems very attractive. That may be something to go in for because, yes, okay, I'm getting 2 United players. So if they were to lose their first matchup against Gen.G or Splice, or I think they'll actually be playing the winner of Reciprocity, and Reciprocity will play the top bracket part. So they'll play like the Envy or Evil Geniuses or Enigma 6 or one of those teams. So, you know, it might not be so easy for them. It is difficult for me to want to choose 2 players from the same team, but Simp's definitely a tempter. So I'm having a little bit of a difficult time here. TJ's at $6, so I've got $13 remaining, which means I could go for a TJ and Simp combo, which is very tempting. Hook is only at $6 as well. But of course, being on, okay, he's on Splice now. I'd see him in an Envy here. Okay, that's actually very tempting, I'm not going to lie. That Splice team now with Aqua Looney, with Hook on, that's honestly a very tempting SMG pick, is for me to go for Hook at $6. It's whether Hook or TJ is a better pick here. I'm tempted to go for Hook, to be honest, because they'll play Gen.G round 1, and he hasn't been playing so well in terms of statistics when the team first formed. So my thinking is that he should now the team has got more time to be comfortable, be at a great level again. So I think I'm going to go for Hook. As I said, I don't, like Dylan and Envoy are, it's funny because Envoy's first name is actually Dylan, so that's a bit confusing. But like Envoy and Dylan, these guys, $9 picks, you know, their projected values are unbelievable because they played so well the last couple of tournaments, but like $9 is a lot of money to put down for one of these players. So I think I'm going to lock in Hook, which gives me a choice between Attach and Simp. Now, for me, this is a no-brainer because Attach is on Evil Geniuses, so may not even qualify and get through. Decent chance to lose to a likes of Envy or something like that. Whereas Simp is guaranteed to be in there. He'll play at least a couple of series, which should give him a good chance to put on a show. So I'm going to go for Simp. So this is going to be my team. Arcetes, Slasher, Formal, Hook, and Simp. So that's my $30. I think it's pretty damn good. You guys maybe would go down a different route. Obviously, we could swap out a couple of these players. TJ was definitely a tempting pick. Maybe we could choose an AR with less value or someone else with slightly less value and put in a guy like, well, we could have put in a Dashy here, for example, or something. But yeah, feel free to have your go in the description box below. Let me know what you do in the comment section below. And yeah, I'm pressing enter and then, well, something will happen and I get added to the leaderboard. So that's genuinely lovely stuff. So there we go. Like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.